Good morning and welcome to Al Tamimi Studio. I'm extremely pleased and honored to be joined this morning by His Excellency Mr. Abdullah Al Nuaimi, former Minister of Infrastructure and Project between 2013 and 2020, and former Minister of Climate Change and Environment between 2021 and 2022. Good morning, Your Excellency.
Very good morning to you. I'm very excited, pleased to be here among my friends and my colleagues.
Thank you very much. We're going to discuss today a very important topic, which is climate change and all the challenges and opportunities which come with this, and specifically with a focus on the MENA region and more specifically on the GCC and the United Arab Emirates. Your Excellency, a key milestone came a couple of years back in the arena of climate change, and this came after the Montreal Agreement in the 90s. So in 2015, we saw the adoption of the Paris Climate Accords, which we named Paris Agreement, which has been adopted by 196 parties at the UN Climate Change Conference, COP21, which is a major milestone in combating against climate change and reduce greenhouse gas emissions, at least as some or many see it. Can you give us a little bit your view on this agreement and the key goals and implementation mechanisms which come under the agreement, and the way you see it from the potential perspective of achieving the objectives and the goals as set out under this agreement?
Thank you very much. I think it's a very important questions, not only for those experts who are associated with climate change and the global warming, but it is also a great opportunity. I call the Paris Agreement as it's a great opportunity for testing goodwills. Paris Agreement came from a departure of a compulsory agreement, that is the Montreal Agreement, and industrial countries were obliged by law to really cut off in an annual basis 5% of their green gas emissions, or greenhouse gas emissions. I'm talking about the greenhouse emissions in total. That was not achieved simply because the industrial countries felt that it is unfair that they only go by law to reduce. The reduction was great. In my opinion, the industrial countries have actually contributed, not only my opinion, but you see the graph, they have contributed during the industrial time to our environment, and they had to pay the price for it. Now, the industrial countries some of them refused to ratify the agreement simply because they thought of India and China are not being forced to. Although at that time the two countries at the end were part of the formula in reducing carbon dioxide as well as other potent gases. I believe that Paris Agreement is a great agreement to test goodwill between countries. However, during the 2013, 2014, when the investigation to what to cut and how much would you cut in temperature to reduce the impact of global warming, or the impact of greenhouse gases, on the environment. The 1.5 degrees Celsius as a target, they were talking about 2, however, preferably they get into 1.5, they know at that time that it was not achievable. Scientists have spoke loudly at that time. More than 60 scientists, they could not believe that such a statement would come into the accord. It came as a goodwill test for not only for the industrial countries, but also for those countries who were affected by the climate change, and I am talking about Africa. Africa did not really participate a lot on the pollution. They did not participate a lot on the impact, of global impact of potent gases and greenhouse gases. However, they are also asked to give some indices. China, India are still on board. Today, they are doing what it takes to reduce their emission. However, they would like to reach a stage where their industry is also able to stand alone or finding alternative to these gases. However, the Paris Agreement is a better than no agreement. At least all 196 countries are pulled in, although the Montreal Agreement is adding 1 to the 196, the 197 countries participating by the Montreal Protocol.
Excellent. And we've seen lately, Your Excellence, kind of a wave of projects coming in the clean energy, different areas of a clean energy, as well as other projects, all either mitigating all the GHG emissions or to produce clean energy. And we've seen, particularly from governments, many net zero plans coming to life, specifically after the Paris Agreement. And many have noticed that after the COVID pandemic as well, the COVID pandemic helped in making this wave bigger as well. And like in a way, it brought some kind of awareness to governments and to businesses about not only viral pandemics, but about more global issue, which is climate change. And we've seen many initiatives being taken since then, either by governments or by businesses, in order to mitigate and bring to life a new energy transformation projects. How do you see that? Do you see that the pandemic had any role playing in accelerating, for example, this transformation? And how do you see, where do you see the opportunities for businesses and governments coming from this area?
There's no doubt that the pandemic has affected everybody. And showed also the ability of goodwill, how we can come off disasters with vaccines, with regulations, with whatever that has been done during the last 2 years during the COVID was a great example for how goodwill could work. But with the climate change and global warming, it's more severe. It's different than collaborating on a business level to probably provide vaccines or carry some activities that makes things easier, having masks, so forth. With the global heat waves, disasters could happen without us knowing it. There is McKinsey have really made a great study that gives how we look into organizations if we really want to incorporate the ESG within any business entity. Where he includes people and the process of doing things as well as the end product. That is great. However, with the technologies today, we are actually creating or manufacturing or producing or thinking of technologies for any future disasters that comes out of climate change. I'm not sure if such collaboration worldwide is being standardized. Each country now thinking of an indices to their own national interests. Countries, they committed in 2050s, looking into net zero in 2050s. Others went to 2060s, like China, Saudi Arabia, and other countries. Others said still, Australia, they can only look into 26% of that emission. So there is no such level where all countries could actually follow a stream by which we would look into a net zero. Now, even in the net zero, the definition is not clear. People mix it sometimes with other definitions, like carbon free, like free. It's. I think we still need. Probably on the COP28 would make a great contribution to the man's knowledge. Not only it's being hosted by my country, but I know the efforts made to really look into the result of the indices. The Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change, the IPCC, is focusing on 2023 or COP28 to show the results of the individual countries and how much did they achieve from their own indices. I have some results which shows that we are not only exceeding the 1.5 degrees Celsius, we are actually going beyond the 2.5, where with the 2.5, we know what could happen on people, on oceans, melting of the ices on the cold areas, heating the area where it's heated. We know that 14% of the people every 5 years would actually be affected if only the 1.5 degrees Celsius. If it goes into more than that, we know now Alexandria is actually sinking every year, where the sea is actually attacking the coasts. Other countries are showing the same. Countries are actually getting in islands, getting new islands ready for people to maneuver. And still, the causes of the climate impact in some countries with some leaders is not very much clear. If only 4 years ago, the biggest contributor to climate impact thought of pulling out from the Paris Agreement. The United States 4 years ago. Other countries could also pull out and will remain being affected. Now, when it comes to the industry, I think we here in the United Arab Emirates making great impact on being a role model, to have arena hosted, to have Masdar being the biggest contributor. We have the biggest solar park that could be built in Dubai as a solar park. We've seen how we deal with the green hydrogen in Abu Dhabi. I think we are here in the. I'm not saying this because this is my country, but I have seen a lot of contributions that we are not obliged to. We are one of the developing countries participating in helping many other countries to be green, and that is something I believe that many other countries, even industrial countries, advanced countries, should actually make that efforts, because it's not only us that would be affected here in the MENA region or in the Gulf region. The whole universe, the whole globe would actually sink.
True.
If we look into the IPCC results of the latest result, that is the 2021, and shows disasters. That really shows disasters not with the 2.5, it's with 1.5, where we see that we talk about the 1.5 degrees Celsius increase, but we don't know what is the impact. What would happen if that happens? It's not only that we would be warm or part of the world would be warm. It's not that. Actually, lives on the oceans would be affected. The temperature of oceans would be affected. The sea would rise. Infrastructure would be destroyed. 80% today of our cities are actually built on oceans, on coastal areas. This 80% by 2050, if we really don't look right into what to do to cripple the green gases, we would actually lose great investment on the infrastructure, water pipeline, electricity pipeline, bridges, roads would actually vanish. At that time, we will know a fact that you cannot fight nature. You can only make sure that you deal with it on the right way. Otherwise, always nature wins. Always. No matter what you do.
That's very, very important and very well said, Your Excellency. It's beautifully said indeed.